Once again, a very good evening to all the participants who are gathered here. As we all know that one of today's most pressing issues that the youth is facing is anxiety. And as educators, we are a critical component in our students' success from a personal and an academic standpoint. On this note, I would like to extend a very warm welcome to the management of Christ Academy Institute for Advanced Studies, our keynote speakers for the day, Ms. Jonisha Arvind and Ms. Shobhana Balaji, delegates from various institutions, faculty members, and my dear students to the webinar on how to beat exam anxiety. Christ Academy Institute for Advanced Studies is managed by CMI Fathers, and this is spearheaded by our principal, Reverend Dr. Father Babu Paul, along with our Vice President, Reverend Father Joshua, and Administrative Officer, Father Viju. So as we know that today's webinar is completely revolving around anxiety. So what is this anxiety? A little nervousness before an exam is normal, but it can also help in sharpen your mind and focus your attention. But with exam anxiety, feelings of worry and self-doubt, it can highly interfere with your test-taking performance and make you miserable. At the same time, exam anxiety can affect anybody, whether you are a primary student, secondary student, or even a college student. This webinar would be focusing on providing inputs on good and bad of anxiety and behavioral changes caused due to anxiety. The webinar would also throw some light on classroom support on anxiety. So before we go forward with the same, I request all the participants to kindly post your city and state in the chat box. At the same time, our team will be posting a poll wherein you could just fill in whether you are a student, educator, or a parent. So kindly do that parallelly. That's my kind request. So here, I would now like to take the opportunity to introduce our first keynote speaker for the day, Ms. Jonisha Arvind, psychologist and founder of Joe's Hope Center. Ms. Jonisha has over 6 years of experience in coaching and counseling and has provided various motivational training for students in schools and colleges. Ma'am has conducted various seminars on self-improvement and also been a career guidance counselor. Ma'am has over 12 years of software experience and has worked for reputed firms such as Wipro and Cognizant. Dear ma'am, I would now like to welcome Ms. Jonisha Arvind to address the gathering on the good and bad of anxiety. Dear ma'am, over to you.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Nidish, for this wonderful introduction. And I would also like to thank KS, the coordinators of this webinar, for arranging this wonderful topic, how to beat exam anxiety, which is much needed in the current scenario because exam season is coming on. And I would also like to specially thank each and every one of you who have gathered here for this webinar on a weekend, on an evening. I hope you have key takeaways. Now let us go directly into the presentation. I'm sharing my screen. Okay.
It's visible, ma'am.
Okay, it's visible. Thank you. Okay, so first let me begin on why this, how to beat this exam anxiety, this topic of this webinar. It struck a chord with me. I was able to connect with this topic because I was a person who had a lot of exam anxiety, especially during my school days. The exam anxiety was to that level that I used to throw up every morning before exams. And also even the smell of the question paper was nauseating to me. We all feel anxiety whenever there's something that important happens. Exams are some of the important, we consider it as very important. We need to perform well. So anxiety is okay during the time of exam or any performance related activity, we do feel this anxiety. It is okay. But if it is to a certain level, we can call it as a threshold. For me, it was beyond that certain normal level. One of the reasons which I am able to decipher now, being a psychologist, was that I was bullied for 3 years and I didn't even realize that was bullying. And just I went on with it without even asking for help. So it made my exam anxiety get even worse because I lost my self confidence. I had some anger and other emotions and thoughts, which further increased my exam anxiety. And afterwards, I managed school and I was able to come over it and manage. And I went into, got some decent marks. So went into engineering. And over there, in first year, I failed in a subject, which was really, it affected my thoughts towards and my own core beliefs. And really, it was a difficult time as well. And that again, further, my exam anxieties were high even during my undergraduations. And do you know what I thought? By the end of this, I'm going to complete this somehow. My BE, I'm going to complete this somehow. And after that, I'm not going to study again. I'm just going to work. I don't need this anxiety anymore. But life took a different turn and I had to do my PG, Masters in Engineering. Over there, I thought enough is enough. Yes, I do have this anxiety. There should be a purpose for this anxiety. It should help me, right? There is a reason that we get certain emotions. So I need to address it. So it is not my enemy. First thing, I accepted it. Second was the thought that whether I'll be able to study, whether I have the capacity and capability, is a subject too tough. Then I replaced that thought with another thought that the university or the education system will never frame a syllabus that is beyond the capacity of the students, isn't it? So it should be possible for me to study. Only thing is, I need to take some actions to overcome this anxiety. So I should do something about it. Only then I'll be able to. That is, I need to have some good learning strategies and have to work a little bit. Every day I need to study. So few actions that I need to do from my end. Do you know what happened after that? I was a gold medalist. The person who failed in my BE was a gold medalist in MTech. Just changing the thought, understanding, accepting my emotions and taking some actions. I was able to come up with this gold medal. And even after that, it gave me a confidence. This gold medal boosted my confidence and gave me a sense of accomplishment, which further helped me to complete my UG and PG in psychology, which was my dream. So anxiety really helped me, as well as previously, it was the bad part of anxiety. And later on, I really used that anxiety to go forward. Now, this is the starter. Now we are going to go into the presentation. This presentation is mostly focused over students on how students think and what they feel and what is the thoughts and what is the behaviors. We are going to explore that. And in terms of parents and teachers who are present here, this is for us to understand and empathize with students so that we can guide them and help them to balance this anxiety to the level it is useful for them so that they can achieve their goals, whatever it is, so they can achieve their goals and stay in that balanced zone. So first thing is, do we need stress? Yes, we need stress. Stress is often considered in the dark light, but without stress, we would have never survived this far. Every organism has stress. Even plants experience stress if we don't water it. If even cats will experience if you don't provide food for your cat, it will just scratch you. So even human beings, we do have this stress. Whenever there is a danger, whenever there is a problem, there is a challenge, we do feel the stress. But what are we supposed to do? We need to take some action so that we come out of this discomfort zone to a state of homeostasis, which means the state of balance. That is how stress should work. So this, we are going to see a little bit of biology over here. Please bear with me because we need to know why, what happens within us when we get stressed. Because anxiety is what we were talking about. For that, we need to know a little bit more about stress. So what happens when we get stressed? When we get stressed, a small part of our brain here, the small point called as amygdala, gets triggered, and it triggers our sympathetic nervous system, and we produce three different types of responses. One is fight, another is flight, another is freeze. Imagine a rabid dog in front of you. What you would do? You may try to escape that place, that is flight response. If you have some stick or something in your hand which you can fight the dog, so you will fight using that. That is a fight response. Otherwise, you may just stand in that place so that the dog thinks that you are a statue and goes. So these are the three responses. In terms of exams, we're talking about exams, isn't it? So what are the three different responses? And what is the apt response? Sometimes these three responses helps us to save us from a scenario or solve the problem. And sometimes a specific response will be suitable for the situation. In terms of exam, the fight response would be starting to prepare for the exams and then work on it and write the exams so that you achieve your goals. And what is flight response? You are unable to study, or you have a lot of anxiety, you bunk the exam, or you won't copy in your exams. That is flight response. And what is freeze response? You go over there, you study, but there is a sense of panic, you forget whatever you have learned. That is freeze response. So the better response over here could be fight, because you need to start to work on that anxiety from the beginning. So this is what happens. This is when the stress happens. So stress is supposed to be for a short term. Your body produces this response. At that time, you sweat, or your heart will beat faster. But once the stress is over, you need to get back to normal. That is how stress should work. Stress is useful only in short term. What happens when stress becomes a long-term affair? Then it is a problem. So what happens is, once the stress situation is over, your parasympathetic nervous system will get activated, which will reduce all your stress-related response, and you get back to normal. During stress, you are like your phone in emergency mode. Only certain actions you can do. Otherwise, internet will not work, calls will not go. Similar to that, your body will go into that mode. So whenever you are stressed, we need to get back to normal and try to stay in balance. This is how stress has to work. So how to identify that whether you are under stress or not? Under stress, as per transaction analysis, a methodology in psychology, 5 different emotions are known to be stress-related emotions. They are anger, fear, sadness, shame, and guilt. I believe there will be a few students in this audience. So let me give an example, because some of my students, they recommended the movie Spider-Man No Way Home to give as an example. So that is a movie they can connect right now, it seems. So let me give the example with Spider-Man and the emotions. Okay. So first thing is anger. Spider-Man, those who have not watched the Spider-Man movie, you know about Spider-Man, right? He's a superhero, and he has a lot of trials and tribulations in his life, which he has to go through. So did he ever have anger in that movie, or any movie if you take? Yes, there is an injustice that has happened to him, so there is anger. So whenever there is an injustice, you feel that anger. And whenever there is a threat, there will be fear. So there was a threat for Spider-Man in that movie. I do not want to give any spoilers, but even in the trailer, it was clear that his identity was exposed. So he was having a fear towards his future. So there is a fear and sadness. He lost somebody important in his life, so he was sad. And there was shame, because there was a loss of his dignity over there. So he was feeling that shame, and he also made few mistakes. So he was feeling guilty. If we have one of these emotions itself, it indicates that you are under stress. Spider-Man had all 5, which means that he was in need of counseling. But anyway, he had a very good support system, and there were other superheroes to help him out. So he was able to come out of that situation. So whenever you have these feelings, better, if you're not able to overcome on your own, if you have this awareness and you're not able to overcome on your own, please do ask for help and resolve that and get back to your normal state. Now, we were talking about anxiety. So what is the stress and how it correlates with anxiety? Anxiety is a form of prolonged stress, especially with a feeling of fear. It can also be associated with feelings of anger and guilt as well. For me, I had anxiety. One was fear of exams. Another was bullying. I was angry. I was guilty. And I was not aware that I need to ask for help. And if I had gotten over it, much earlier, it would have saved my time. It would have, my performance would have been even better, and I would have had a peace of mind, and I would have been, it would have been a relief for me. So whenever you are in the state of anxiety, first thing is inner awareness is the first key. After that, we need to identify what is our behaviors, what is our thoughts. Is there any indications that we are in the normal state of anxiety, and are we trying to get back to even more normal state, or is it going beyond a threshold? Because beyond a threshold, it becomes a disorder. So always try to stay in balance. So what are the physical signs? We need to be aware of what are the signs that is for anxiety. Even the next speaker is also going to talk about this. Let me give a short intro on this. Nervousness. We get so nervous, and sense of panic. It is very difficult to deal. Getting up in the middle of the night with panic, an increased heart rate. You can feel your heart beating, and breathing in fast, hyperventilating. You feel you as if you have run a long distance. You start breathing in, sweating a lot, and getting tired. When you're tired, you won't be able to study as well. And nausea, that was, I had it as a symptom, a sign of anxiety. So these are some physical signs for us to understand that we are having this anxiety. So then next is behaviors. Physical signs, then we come to behaviors. We saw what are the emotions. In behaviors, lack of sleep, that is a clear indication there is a anxiety. Some thoughts are going into you, and you're not able to resolve the feelings behind those thoughts. And loss of focus, you're not able to focus on your whatever you're studying or your goals. That is also an indication. And most importantly, starting to postpone things. You'll start postponing. Okay, there is 30 more days to exam. We'll start on the 29th day, and that will become the 28th day. Then after that, 27th, and there'll be just one day left for the exam, and full anxiety. So postponing, already because of anxiety you will postpone, and because of postponing, your anxiety will go way beyond the threshold. So we need to be very careful. Getting irritated when someone tells you the fact, you get irritated. And most importantly, not asking for help. I did not ask for help. That is what happened to me earlier. So be aware. It is okay to ask for help. There are people around you to help you. There are counselors. Your support system is around you. Have a very good support system. Have very good communication skill. It is possible. And finally, most importantly, now we should be wary about addictive behaviors. Whenever we have anxiety, we'll try to distract ourselves going into addictive behaviors, that is watching Netflix or games or social media. As a distraction, we should never get into these habits. If you want to watch, have a specific time and watch, but not as a distraction from anxiety, because when you go and watch as a distraction from anxiety, what happens is you will again feel guilty, which will add on to your anxiety, which will increase your anxiety. Be careful about it. And next is overthinking. This is one of the common symptoms that many students have come up, and they have conveyed this to me. Too many thoughts, too many thoughts. We live in a world of information, but when you don't act on your anxiety, you will start overthinking. And as parents and teachers, we also need to be aware of all these signs and guide and help children to overcome, empathize with them, because current scenario, things have changed, and we need to adapt, and we need to understand and give them the space and help them get over this, so that they perform and they are over this anxiety and stress, so that they can lead life normally. So few of the causes, why I'm talking about the causes is, most likely this cause leads to certain feelings and then certain thoughts. Thoughts are also very important. We thought about feelings, we saw about behavior, some physical signs, but thoughts also are very important, because there are some irrational beliefs and thoughts that may develop due to our past experiences and how people perceive us. Expectation of, for example, let us take expectation, our own expectation, as well as the expectation of our parents, teachers. All these add on to anxiety. And comparison. Comparison, in my days, I do remember comparing neighbors or classmates, but right now the problem is the comparison is in the inward. That is, the social media has increased this comparison. You start comparing yourself with others so easily. So you yourself start comparison. There is no need of a third person to compare you, even though it could be there is a possibility for that comparison as well. So that would also increase your anxiety. Past failures and imagining failures, by seeing others fail. All these are also some cause of exam anxiety. And most importantly, last but not the least, is not preparing them. Because when you take an action against some problem, your mind will be convinced that, okay, so there is a problem and I'm taking action. That itself will help you to change your thought process and address your emotions. For example, let us take, you have a weird symptom, some illness you're having some kind of throat itching or something, which is bothering you for a few days. Once you fix an appointment and go to doctor, you'll feel well. We call it as a placebo effect because you've taken some action against it. So whenever there's a stress, we should take an action against it. One of the important action in terms of anxieties is exam anxiety. It is preparing for the exams way before. Even if there is a lesser time for exams now, start preparing, start planning ahead. That will really help. Okay, now I was talking about thoughts. I will give you a few tips on certain thoughts that is quite common. Am I good enough? Will I be able to perform as expected? Am I worthy? All these thoughts will not help us in case of anxiety. It will just increase that anxiety. So what is that we can do is certain statements that we can say. If you're a teacher or a parent, you can note these statements and you can ask your child when your child is conveying these thoughts to you. And if you are a student, you can ask these questions and you can say these statements to yourself. First is the thought, am I good enough? Or do I have the capacity? Am I intelligent enough? First thing is it 100% true? That is the first question that you can ask. If it is true, where is the proof? Okay. So second thing is this thought helping you to solve your problem? Obviously, it is not. Otherwise, you will not have anxiety. So it is not helping you to solve your problem. And third is, what are the things that are under your control? Allotting time, studying, or whatever activity you're balancing, that is under your control. So what is under your control? What is not under your control? Out of the question paper is whether the exam getting postponed or what others could think is not under your control. See what is under your control. And finally, instead of saying must or should in statements like, I should crack this, I should get so much of marks. Instead of that, I prefer to do it well. Give yourself a little bit of choice. Okay, so now we have come to the middle part of this presentation. So I'll stop sharing my screen and we'll do an activity. So I would like everyone to switch on their videos. Is it enabled?
Yes, it's enabled.
Okay. Can you please switch on your videos? A small activity because I've been talking so long. So for a change. Okay, a few more possible, please. It'll be otherwise not interesting. You can. Oh, thank you. Thank you. So many are switching on your videos. Very nice. Okay. Wait for a few more. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Just a few minute activity. What I'm going to do is an action and a word associated with that action. We saw different emotions related to stress, right? For each emotion for stress, I will make an action and you are going to repeat it. Whenever I see that word, you will repeat that action. And after that, we'll take a beautiful photograph. Okay. So first thing is anger with the expression. Okay. Just think, anger. This is sign language. It's the real sign language. You can say anger. Please try it out. Anger. Yes. Anger. Fear. Say fear. It is fear. Okay. And sad. Sad. Okay. Sadness. I'm not seeing any sad here. Sad. Anybody? Okay. Sad. Very good. Guilt. Guilt is like this. Guilt. Okay. Okay. Happy. Happy. This is happy. So anger. Fear. Get it? Okay. And sad. Guilt. Happy. Now I will not act. You have to. Anger. You need a. I need to out the question paper or what? Anger. Okay. Fear. With the expression. Guilt. Guilt. Sad. Happy. Okay, only expression also will do. Anger. Guilt. Happy. Anger. Sad. Guilt. Happy. 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 Okay, with this happy face, we'll take a photograph. Okay, thank you so much for participating, because I am talking for such a long time. Just a break so that it is more easier, right? Okay, again, I'll start sharing my screen and we'll go with the presentation. Okay. Okay, so now we have seen the thoughts, the feelings, and what behavior that occurs due to anxiety. So what are the certain best practices that we can do to conquer this fear? First thing is, as I mentioned earlier, prepare. When you do some action against whatever stress-related feelings such as anxiety, you are telling your brain that you are taking some action against it, so that those stress-related emotions will lower. So that is the importance of preparing. Start it way ahead. That is very important. Wherever now, if you're a student at school, you're going to college, and then the same, it repeats. You need to start as early as possible so that you avoid the last minute anxiety. And what is the second thing is, what is the purpose of these exams? The purpose of exams, what is the purpose of education? First, we need to think about it. It is to develop oneself as a whole individual, to develop oneself as a better person, so that they not only they serve this their own families, themselves, and also they're able to coexist successfully in the society. So first, that is the purpose. And next is, in terms of exam, without this anxiety, you will not reach that purpose of developing as an individual, because whenever there is an anxiety, only you have motivation to study or to compete. So that is very important in terms of purpose. We need that purpose because we need to stay motivated. Otherwise, if there is no anxiety, will anyone feel like writing an exam? If you don't write an exam, how will you know that you have accomplished in that particular subject or particular area? That is the one way of assessing. Next is accepting the anxiety. That really helped me. Accepting, yes, this is going to be like this. So what is that I can do? Only when you accept your vulnerability, you can take action against it. And next is, what are the thoughts that is going inside my head? We need to become aware of it as well. So we can ask the right questions, which I told before, to address these thoughts. It is said that 90% of our thoughts are not true. So we need to be wary about what is true and what is not. And next is goal setting. Smart goals. Whatever we set as goals should be specific, and it should be measurable, and it should be specific in the sense, if you want marks, you need to check out, okay, this is my goal. I need to get this much marks, or I need to complete this course, or whatever which is possible by you. Make it more specific, and it should be attainable as well, and measurable. That is, there should be a test so that you can measure it, and it should be relevant to your current scenario, whatever your needs. And it should be also, there should be a time limit, otherwise you won't feel like finishing it. And take a deep breath in and breathe out. Very important. That is why it is recommended in meditation, yoga, and so on. Because what happens is, I was telling you, small, tiny part of the brain that is responsible for stress, isn't it? So when you take a deep breath in and breathe out, the control from that tiny part of the brain will switch over to the front part of your brain. That will reduce your stress. So breathing is very much important. So before exams, you need to take a deep breath and breathe out so that you get back to your normal self. Sleep is very, very important. If you don't sleep, what happens? Even a neurologist can tell you, whatever you learned will not go into long-term memory. I do remember certain times during my UG days where overnight I did not prepare for the exam during Diwali, and I was only having anxiety, and I didn't even sleep well. Literally, after, it was like throwing up on the paper. Whatever learned, I just wrote it over there and I came. and I don't remember anything, because nothing goes into your long-term memory if you don't sleep well. And also now they say that even before studying, you need to sleep, because your brain is like a sponge. If already, if the sponge is filled with water, you cannot, the sponge cannot absorb more water, right? So your brain will become like that. You need to sleep, and you need to be fresh to start studying, and avoid distractions. Very important. It is, we do understand that we need to stay online. There are a lot of, if there's a purpose, it is fine. If it is for relaxation, I don't think it will, you need to have specific time for that, but it should not be a distraction away from your anxiety or to forget your responsibilities. That is where we need to draw a line. So what are the steps to focus? Why focusing is important here is, we are practicing distraction about 16 hours per day. This entire, including adults, even younger generation, we can be easily distracted. Focusing has become a very big problem. So we need to start focusing, because we are handling multiple things at a time. That is causing this distraction. We have become multitasking, but multitasking by what to say, the evolution, our brain is never used to multitasking. Only one task at a time is how our brain has been. We have been practicing only working one thing at a time, and that is how our brain has been modeled. So what is that we can do is simplify the task, so that you concentrate on one task at a time. If you are learning math or science, just focus on one chapter or one area which you're going to study. Relax, focus on things which are under your control. You don't think about exam, what is going to happen in future. Focus on what you're going to do, and study one thing at a time, or do one task at a time, and be aware of the time and distractions around you. This steps, or whatever anxiety I'm talking about, is not only pertaining to exams. It is for any situation in our life that causes anxiety. So that is the same. But here the focus, because students right now, it is a very important topic in current time, right? So with the exam focus, we are seeing this. So what are the do's in terms of exams or while studying? Always ask the question, why? What is happening over here? Is this the fact true? So that verify the fact. Second is explain to yourself or explain to others. When you explain, it is like twice learning it. And next is repeat. Whatever concepts I'm talking about here, it is already known, but it is a sort of repetition only, isn't it? But we need to repeat, because we are not following it every time. So it is very important to repeat whatever we are learning, so that it goes into a long-term memory, and we may use it when we don't know. At whatever age it may come up, we may need it later. And it gives us a sense of accomplishment, which is very important. And next is quiz, which means you need to test yourself. That is very important. And use the right strategy. Whichever works on you, please use that strategy. For me, writing down points really worked. For others, it could be like singing the as a song with music. For few, it is like a storyboard. So find out which works for you. For that, you need to spend some time and explore. Keeping a time. We'll talk about few techniques, and you can choose the technique whichever is useful or which is easier for you to adapt. So what is that we are not supposed to do is postponing and starting to work at the last minute. That will increase the anxiety way beyond the threshold. So that is what we need to avoid. Avoid distractions for that, and don't compare yourself with others. You can compare your performance, not yourself, performance with your previous performance, how you have improved, monitor it. That will help you. But no, there's no use of comparing yourself with others. That will not help you in any way. And always focus on, have a long-term goal, but focus on short-term goals. Because only focusing on long-term goal will cause a lot of anxiety, because you won't know the steps of achieving that long-term goal. So focus on small steps towards short-term goals, and daily how you can reach that short-term goals. You can plan it out, you can journal it, and you can think about it. Next is, once you receive your marks, you should never regret whatever has happened. There's no point in going back. I could have done this, I could have done that. No point. Even now, I'll tell you, the anxiety which I faced during my school days, during my college days, has really helped me now to empathize with students. So whatever has happened, we can make use of it as an experience in future. Whatever steps we take forward, that is where we have control and we can decide over it. So some techniques, you can scan the QR code to my channel. I do post videos, awareness videos on different techniques. What I could suggest is Pomodoro technique is one of the technique which is widely acclaimed, and I found it useful as well. That is about 25 minutes, or you'll start focusing on one topic or one subject, anything like that. And after that, take a 5-minute break. And then again, the 25 minutes, at the timer for 20 minutes, study or focus on that activity. And again, take a 5-minute break. Repeat this for about 4 times and then take a 30-minute break. This will help you to focus. And at that time, make sure that you switch off all your distractions, put your phone on silent mode and start focusing. And once you do this, you will get the hang of it and you will start repeating this and you'll get the sense of accomplishment. You need to break that cycle of what to say, that dopamine. We are now addicted to dopamine. We all get that pleasure by watching the social media or games. We go into it, right? So to break the cycle, you need that sense of accomplishment by your own activity. So start acting it. Start working on your behaviors. That will make a real change and that will help you to manage this anxiety. Next is, I wanted to share with you this 20-hour rule where we can learn any new skill within 20 hours. I was able to learn swimming within 20 hours in the sense that over the span of 15 days, I was able to learn swimming. A person who's scared of water, I was able to learn swimming. And recently, even I have something to share with you. Today only I got the results and I'll share it with you. Is it possible in 20 hours to become excellent at something? No. You can become good at it. That is just a baseline you will reach. And after that, whatever number of hours you put, you'll become an expert. You can become good at that activity. If it is swimming or if it is learning an instrument or even a competitive exam or a subject that you learn, 20 hours is where you'll get it good at. And you should also remember the first 35 minutes. That 35 minutes is where you will let go of that. You'll feel the discomfort, but you're not able to understand. Okay, I'm getting to understand a hang of it a little bit. That kind of a feeling. And after the 35 minutes, you need to continue and go to this 20 hours. And after that, then only when you spend more hours, you become an expert. Today, I got my results of my NET exam. And I wanted to take this as an experiment and see whether this 20-hour rule works when writing a NET exam. Okay. So my goal was to just clear and get that cleared NET exam. I don't have any intention of becoming a professor like Nidish or the great personalities present here, but just I wanted to see whether it works. So I clocked timer and I spent 20 hours for paper 1 and paper 2. That is how UGC NET exam works. And I've got my results today and I cleared NET exam. That's all. I worked 20 hours for each subject. That is all. But if you tell me, no, I didn't score very good marks because I didn't spend more time on this. If my goal is to get very good marks and I need to go for the next level in this exam, I should have worked even more than 100 or even 1,000 hours over it, right? So this 20-hour rule holds good. I can tell you that. So overall, what we saw about is self-awareness. First, that is required. We need to be aware of our own feelings, thoughts, and behaviors so that we can identify the level of anxiety that is within us and then manage it and try to bring it down to the level of normalcy. In terms of exams, start working on it. If you are a behavior-oriented person, you start to acting or start on your behavior, spend time on it. If you are a feeling-oriented person, identify the feelings. What is the need that is not met? Get help. Or we can identify, and being the self-aware itself, we will be able to let go of the unresolved emotions within us. And if you are a thought-oriented, thinking-oriented person, please understand your thoughts, question irrational thoughts and beliefs within you, and follow the procedure step by step for learning. Follow the best practices and different techniques. You can go to even YouTube and just search for Joe's Hope Center. You can find my videos over there. And you can also suggest me a few topics and I'll try to put these videos for free just to create awareness. And a small exercise again for you. I would like you all to, if you can come on your videos. If possible. Otherwise, a small exercise to tell you in terms of panic, sudden panic in any activity, it could be exams or any important event in your life that causes panic. You can do this exercise sitting at your own place. That will really help. Okay. So please close your eyes. Take a deep breath in. If you're not comfortable in front of camera, you have camera anxiety, it is fine. Okay. Please close your eyes. Take a deep breath in, breathe out. Relax. Take a deep breath in, breathe out, relax. When you take a deep breath in and breathe out, your brain and your heart comes into the same rhythm. Your EEG and ECG signals will have the same rhythm. So take a deep breath in, breathe out. Now, close your eyes tight. Tight, just close it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Release, relax. If you have any pain, not required. Otherwise, you can. Now raise your shoulders tight. Tight to your ears. Tight. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Relax. Make your hands into fist like this. Tight. Tight. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Relax. Now tuck your tummy in. Abdomen in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Relax. Press your thighs or your legs down wherever you're sitting. Tight. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Relax. Now close your eyes tight all together. Fist. Press your legs. Tuck your tummy in. Everything together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Relax. Now again, close your eyes and say this prayer to yourself, not to others. This is to yourself. You are the only person who's managing everything for you. So we need to love ourselves. You need to ask sorry to ourselves. So this prayer, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I thank you. I love you. So this is the prayer. You can do it whenever you feel a sense of panic. Just tighten for 5 seconds and you can. This is a well-known exercise and relaxation exercise which you can do. So that's all in presentation. So if you have any questions, you can post in chat. We'll address it at the end of this presentation. So you can reach me in Facebook, Instagram, and my website. The details have been provided. You can scan the QR code as well. Thank you for being such patient listeners. Over to you, Nidish.
Thank you, ma'am. So once again, thank you, ma'am, for your inspiring and thoughtful inputs on anxiety. A lot of aspects which would actually, we can take back away. Not just the students who are here, even probably a lot of educators face this. You have this addiction, this Netflix, this Amazon Prime. All of this comes into picture in today's modern society wherein we get addicted to it. So probably all of the exercises which you have told us might help all the people who are gathered here as well. Okay, so now, dear gathered audience, we would like to show you a glimpse of Christ Academy Institute for Advanced Studies. Over to my technical team. You can display the video.
The wonderful ambience and the amazing infrastructure was truly amazing in the very first sight. The campus not only inspires and motivates students but also leads to their holistic and cultural development.
We are encouraged to take part in various activities that is organized by different clubs at Kayas. I have even taken part in hosting and organizing multiple college events that has helped to grow in all the aspects.
Our college is equipped with multi-sporting facilities like turf,
basketball court, volleyball court, tennis court, swimming pool, and fitness center. This helps us to keep us engaged and physically fit. We are also given a lot of opportunities to take part in various inter and intra-college events.
Kaya strives to provide the best facilities to support our modern learning environment. We have modern lecture and seminar halls. We have a very good library. We also have well-equipped labs, the cafeteria, the counseling center, the integrated center for excellence, and so on.
An hostel is a shelter for students who come from far apart places to educate themselves. But over here, it's not only a shelter, it's a home filled with learning and joy. The spacious and comfortable rooms at Kaya's offers the best peaceful environment to educate myself at a very good pace.
So Christ Academy has given me opportunity to restructure myself, think beyond my capabilities, learn new skills and meet new people.
Here at Kaya's, we have a management and faculty who are very approachable and are ready to stand by our side. Our subject professors make the subject very easy for us to learn. They are very welcoming and supportive in nature.
Thank you, team. And that was a glimpse of Christ Academy Institute for Advanced Studies. And guys, as you know, we were talking about anxiety. So just to resume the conversation with regard to anxiety, about 25% of the population, 25% which are coming under students, they are prone to anxiety. And unfortunately, they are not able to share the part of what actually anxiety is because they are not able to understand about the consequences of that. That's why we have taken this part to bring in and address the issues which are related to anxiety. On this note, we would like to move to our second speaker of the day. Let me quickly introduce Ms. Shobhana Balaji, educator at Primrose School, Chennai. Ma'am has been a math facilitator since 2005. Ma'am has always been keen to ensure that all children, irrespective of their learning styles, abilities, and intelligences, receive an effective learning environment to thrive and flourish. Ma'am teaches higher secondary level math for ISE and CIE curriculum. Ma'am has participated in multiple British Council programs, including a 6-month Global School Partnership Teacher Exchange program with a UK-based school that included an on-site visit and teaching component. Ma'am was also awarded a Global Teacher Accreditation by the British Council for a 1-year action research on delivering differentiated instructions to students through a flipped classroom. Dear ma'am, now I would like to request you to kindly provide your inputs on classroom support on anxiety. Dear ma'am, over to you.
Thank you, Nitish. I'll just share my screen. I would like to take this opportunity to thank the Kaya's team for inviting me. And I would also say thank you so much for all of you who come on a weekend. Thanks to all the students, and thank you parents and teachers, any facilitators in the audience. I'm going to talk about how to deal with anxiety from the perspective of a facilitator. Most of what I'm going to talk might be a repetition with what Nisha ma'am has already spoken. But I'll talk a little more about how it as from the perspective as a teacher, as I said earlier. Children join school to achieve their goals. Someone want to be a wildlife photographer, someone would like to be a ballet dancer, someone want to be a scientist, an engineer, a doctor, a dancer. A school is also called as a miniature society because they get to interact with their peers, their facilitators and other adults in the school. So after they graduate from school, they will know how to interact with people in the society. A school also give them a good environment via competitions and different cultural activities to showcase their innate talents and also develop particular skills they have, like leadership skills, communication skills, so on and so forth. So I think most of you will agree with me when I say that at school we form the best of friends, which lasts over a lifetime. So it is most of the time it's a very happy time, happy period spending in school. But then there's one part of school which some of them are not very happy with. It's the exam or the assessment part of the school. Um, Exam and assessment cause a lot of stress and anxiety among students. The level of anxiety is different for different students. First, I'm quickly going to talk about this is especially for parent, caretakers, or facilitators in the audience. What are the early signs you can notice in your child or in your student when they exhibit these signs of anxiety? Again, I'm going to say this, most of them are repetition of what Nisha ma'am has said, but again, the signs are the same. So some of the signs of anxiety, there'll be plenty of physical signs. There'll be illness of the body. They'll feel tired all the time. They'll not be happy. And other behavioral signs will be they will avoid going to a test-taking center. Any situation which involves taking of tests, they will be wary of it. So you would have seen many students kicking and crying, irrespective of age group, not going to school. The child might be anxious because of the forthcoming exams. And the related behavioral changes might be low self-worth, a lot of unrest, loss of focus. All of this will also lead to something called as I'm sure many of us would have heard about a blackout moment, right? They're prepared well throughout the year or the last 6 months or something, but on the day of the examination, they're not able to remember anything. So, like as I said earlier, it depends on the level of anxiety or anxiousness is present in the child or the student. If a child is less anxious, they might just have some butterflies in the stomach. That is normal. And maybe it's a little healthy to keep you alert. But in extreme cases, they might get into a panic attack. So these are the signs to watch out for in the child. Now, again, I'm going to go through why students go through this stress or anxiety. First one is preparedness. If they're not well prepared for the examination, definitely they're going to be very unhappy, and this will definitely lead to stress. Unpreparedness might be because of various reasons. One of the reasons might be they're not able to understand what they're studying or what they're supposed to prepare for. They're not able to, that subject or concept might be tough, or maybe they're not interested. The elective they've chosen is not their choice. They've chosen it for various different reasons. So all these might lead to them procrastinating over this, and hence the unpreparedness. Many of the students link the performance or the results of the assessments or exams to their self-worth. That's really unfair, but okay. And then many students set unrealistic goals. Right? So for this will also lead to stress. Of course, many of them pursue, or there's a perceived pressure from peers, family, and school. This might be true, it might not be true. And many of them think they'll be so anxious on the day of the examination, they'll not be able to perform better. perform well because of the extensive pressure on them. That is performance anxiety for you. And one more reason is there's this innate fear of failure. Whatever effort I put in, I don't think I'm going to get through. Right? These are irrational, but the fears are there. So this is one small strategy students can use to decrease their stress levels. If you can understand what is within your sphere of control and what is not within your control, then maybe as a student, you will be able to reduce your stress levels. For example, what rank you're going to get is not under your control to some extent, because a rank allotted in any educational organization or any common entrance exam, it's also based on your peers' performance, which you have no control over, right? And the question paper, how tough the paper is going to be, how easy it's going to be, can I crack it? Again, this is going to be set by an external body over which again you have no control. And again, health. What I mean by health is a week before or on the day of the exam, if you're going to fall ill, this might be due to some seasonal flus, malaria, or something like that. You don't have any control. Maybe throughout you've been eating healthy food, you've not been stepping out. Home cooked meal you've been having, in spite of it, your health fails you. Again, this is not under your control. And your college admission. College admission, just like rank, depends on how your peers have performed and also the different rubrics a college is set for giving admission. Right? You might be aware of it, but why a college chooses one particular candidate or why it doesn't choose one, or you or somebody else, might be behind your control, right? But there are some things which you can work on, like what efforts you put in, how much of efforts you put in, and what strategy you used for the preparation. When I say for strategy, it can also mean something like you're having a problem with some concepts or a particular subject or an elective. Are you willing to take help from your peers or from your teacher or from any other adult? Say you're going to tuition or from someone at home. Have you explored all those strategies and have you taken that into account? And what expectations you've set for yourself? I'm going to talk a little more about this later. Again, you're the best person to know yourself. So the expectation you set should be within a reasonable limit. If you go over how you've been performing over the last year or the last few months or the last 2 or 3 years in your previous grades, you will know how much you're scoring, what is your comfort zone, and where you're not very well versed. Based on these, for every subject, you have to set your expectations accordingly. You cannot set your expectation based on your peers or what anybody else says. Here, you have to do it yourself. And the next one is attitude. By attitude, what I basically mean is if you have a very positive attitude towards your exam, that is, you don't stress too much about it. You understand there are things I can do within which will affect my performance. There are things beyond my control which I cannot do anything, and leave the rest. Fine. So that sort of an attitude will also help you in reducing stress. So basically, you understand there are some things within my control and there are different aspects which are not in my control. Right? So these can help you reduce stress. And of course, as I say, bringing up a child is, the whole community, it involves whole community, right? So as a parent or a caregiver, I know that most of the things I'm going to show up here, most of the parents, I'm very sure they're doing, giving them nutritious and healthy food. And you can, about this exercise, you can make it a fun activity. You can take part with the child. It can be cycling, playing tennis, playing cricket on the street, anything like that, or going for a walk or a jog. So you can spend some quality time with your child. Maybe your adolescent child might open up a little more during these times. An exercise routine during just before exam is a very good idea. And also giving them some place to study where it's quiet with less distractions will keep them focused on what they're supposed to study. A little bit of peer interaction always helps students when they get together and say, oh my God, this part is so tough, even I'm not studying. So they feel good that they're not the only one who are experiencing difficulty. Everybody, all the peers are going through it. So peer interaction is a good idea, a little bit of, not too much of it. And then emotional support. If your child finishes an exam and comes back and says, I'm not done well or something, you can just hear the child out. Most of the time, when children state their concerns, they're not looking for a solution. They're just looking for someone to hear them out. And a good sleep. Good sleep is the most important for anybody to perform well before any particular event. A good 6 to 8 hours sleep in the night will really freshen them up and make sure they give their best for the exam. This is for teachers. For teachers, what they can do is they can alter the teaching strategies. Like they can have some differentiated instructions, so they are able to they're able to meet all the students who have different learning styles. Like some children might be able to learn kinesthetically, some will be a visual learner, some will be an oral learner, might be able to learn better when they hear a oral learner. So based on these strategies, teacher can, same lesson plan, he can have some differentiated instructions. And in classroom, teachers can also encourage peer learning. Students also learn best when they learn from another student. Like Nishaman just pointed out, both of them benefit in this. The one who's helping another, it's a revision for that, and another who's learning, because children talk to one another in the same language. So it really helps them learn better. Teachers can also empower them with certain skills. Like you can teach them, like how Nisha demonstrated, you can teach students a good deep breathing exercises to calm them down. And you can also talk to them about having a perspective on what exactly exams in the education system are. You can talk about personal experiences and tell them they're not the end all of everything. They're just a part of the system, and to give importance to it, but not stress over it. And because teachers can act as good mentors for students. Because some students really look up to their teachers as someone who can give knowledge, and they also have a good rapport with them, with many students meeting even after they graduate from school. So when you can set goals with the student, the teacher, because the teacher is aware of the academic progress of the child. They spend good to 6 to 8 hours of a day at school. So a teacher with a student can sit together, plan, strategize, and come at an achievable goal. So the student does not have unrealistic expectations. And they can also share some test-taking skills where you can talk to them on how to work on exam-like conditions, so they are better prepared for the exams. The last thing I'd like to share with the parents and teachers is examination is a part of the education. If your child or student is planning to pursue future education, or they're planning to work outside, any organization or a college will be looking at a holistic development. How well they have been on the sport, what sports are they good at, and what social skills they possess, and do they have any leadership abilities? Have they taken on some internship projects? And what creative skills do they possess? Have they been part of a drama club, or have they performed on stage? And what musical abilities they possess? And also what leadership qualities they have. Have they been part of a prefectorial or a head boy or head girl? Or have they taken part in, do they have any oratory skills, like taking part in debate declamation? Taking part in debate and declamation also talks about how well versed the child is in current affairs. So you can assure the child that marks are important, but they're not everything. So just to summarize, I would like to say that students can use a strategy to differentiate what is within their control and what is not, and hence don't stress on things which are not under your control, and keep things in perspective. Exams are important, but they're just that. You can work on the skills you learned in school can always be used outside. And this is for the adults, as the parents, the caregivers, and the teachers. Make sure you give the child the right environment, which is supportive and which will help the child grow. That's it. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you for being a part of this.
Thank you, Shobhana ma'am, for your valuable inputs. I think here also, again, a number of points which we are able to fetch from this. Either there is a yes or a no. If it's a no, then let's go get over with. If it's a yes, let's go ahead and do it, and let's not worry about it. So that's how Shobhana ma'am has very evidently told us that, education is a part of life and not life itself. All right. Thank you, dear ma'am. Now the session, my dear participants, the forum is now open for queries. Participants can raise their queries in the chat box. We would like to answer your queries. Okay, as of now, we have not received any queries as such. Okay, so ma'am, we have one question here. Any good books to read on academic anxiety?
I'm not aware of exactly on academic anxiety, are there in specific books, but we can go through anxiety as a whole. We can try to understand about different models, and you can go through transaction analysis, or Maslow's theory itself would indicate what is the needs that are not being met that causes these anxiety. So there are different, there is a gestalt, and you can go through, the needs is one thing, and basic anxiety, what are the, yes, transaction analysis will be very good, Eric Byrne, where these are the 5 emotions that comes under the umbrella of stress. Whatever the situation is, the anxiety is the same. So academic anxiety or whatever the anxiety is, we deal with psychology as thought, feelings, and behavior. So anxiety is the same. It is in terms of fear, we have a specific threat. There is a dog that is coming to attack me, that is a fear because there is a real threat. But in terms of academic anxiety, the threat is perceived threat. It is not actually real, because what is the threat over there? Is there any danger over there? It is because of the thought whether I'll fail or pass. There is some perceived scenario. That is why anxiety is different from actual real stress response, such as fear or worry. So overall, basically, these emotions is what we need to address, is my perspective about this. But as of now, I don't have any ideas on books on academic specific anxiety, but the concepts will be the same, because anxiety is anxiety by the end of it. Thank you for the question, and everyone understood really well, I think, Natish. No one has any doubts over here.
Yes, ma'am. I think the points were all crystal clear. We don't have much of doubts coming in. Shobhana ma'am, would you like to suggest any books or any factor as such to the person here? I think it is Anish Walson. The same doubt.
Okay. Hi, Mr. Anish. I'm not aware of any books on academic anxiety. If Anish is a student, I would rather recommend he studies. He goes through study notes.
So the key basically is to be prepared here, I guess.
Yes, exactly.
The social worker, I think.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, so I think we have only one doubt as of now. Shall we wait for probably another minute? Any other doubts, dear audience? Please feel free, do not hesitate. You can unmute and say it, or you can also post it in the comment box as well. Okay, do we have Tulsi trying to unmute? No. All right.
Can I watch comedy movie during distress? Yes, you can, but have a specific time. That is to, instead of addressing, first we need to address why you are under distress and find the root cause of that problem and try to address it, because This comedy movie, I do understand it is a sort of relaxation. If you don't have any anxiety in your mind, it's absolutely fine. But if you have anxiety or some distress, this will just postpone it. Or in case after watching the movie, if you have some task to complete and you're not completing, your guilt will add on to your stress, which may increase it. So it is like I'm feeling anxiety, so I'm going and taking some alcohol. Is it right? No, right? So you can have a break on a specific. Yes, it is okay. But if there is some problem, address it and then take a break. That will be advisable according to Shobha ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. And what I'd like to say as a teacher, you're basically trying to escape from a situation rather than facing it. It'll give you relief for only so much of period of time. But again, there's this nagging worry of whatever is causing stress is not being addressed. So you'd rather address, get it done with instead of just procrastinating over it. That's my view.
Hello.
Sure, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
It was a nice time. It is wonderful. I got this meeting from the Facebook. I think there only I could. I was actually, I am writing a project work on this academic anxiety. For me, I believe God bless me for like this opportunity from your part. And I would like to be connected with this Christ University because I have done my MPhil. So is there, I did from Martin Luther Christian University. Is there any chances of study? Is there any? Thank you, Dindish sir, for the wonderful interaction. And
thank you so much, Anisa. Yeah.
Sir, can you leave your number or anything like that so we can?
Definitely. We will drop in the mail IDs here. You can, be in touch with us, with Shobhana ma'am, with Nisha ma'am. We will definitely drop it in the comment box.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm dealing with students, their academic studies, so it was a great blessing for me. Especially,
we are glad to hear that, sir. We're glad to hear that.
Thank you very much, madam, Nisha madam and Shobha madam.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for this.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Further programs, can you tell me like that? So I like to be part of it.
We will keep you updated. You can also share your mail IDs in the chat box.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Dear participants, we have also added a feedback form. So with your valuable comments and feedbacks, we will be able to ensure that we are connected with the audience and also quality programs whenever it's happening. We would be happy to share along with all the students, participants, or any educators from India or abroad. So kindly fill in the feedback form, which is posted in the chat box. Okay, so with that, we have come to the end of the webinar. So on behalf of Christ Academy Institute for Advanced Studies, I extend our heartfelt gratitude to both our keynote speakers, dear Shobhana ma'am and Ms. Nisha ma'am. Thank you so much once again for taking your time out of your busy schedule and being a part of this event. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, KS. Thank you, Nitish. And thank you
so much.
Opportunity as well.
Thank you, Nitish. Thanks to KS. And best of luck to all the students for the forthcoming exams.
All the very best.
Thank you. I also extend my gratitude to the management of Christ Academy Institute for Advanced Studies for providing us with the platform for the educators, students, and the community at large, which has helped us to gain thoughtful insights on the current issue, which is anxiety. No event is successful without active participation. I extend our heartfelt gratitude to all the participants for being a part of this webinar. Last but not the least, I also thank the in-house organizers and all the members who have worked behind it, who are not a part right now, Mr. Anil, Mr. Noel, Mr. Jeff, and the entire team, Mr. Azil, and the IT team, Jibin and Azil sir as well, for execution of this webinar meticulously without any glitches. Until we meet next time, once again, thank you all and one and all. Thank you, dear team.